Hello everyone, Patrick the Progressive here with a leaked video of CNN Supervising Producer claiming that CNN is only digging at the Russia story for ratings, just like the news networks used Donald Trump for ratings back during the election, you know. So this is something that I believed has been the truth all along with it being a distraction from the corruption within the DNC. So let's take a look.
Russia this, Russia that.
Because it's ratings.
Because it's ratings?
Our ratings are incredible right now.
But honestly, you think the whole Russia shit is just like bullshit.
Could be bullshit. I mean, it's mostly bullshit right now. Like, we don't have any big giant proof. I just feel like they don't really have it, but they want to keep digging.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think the president is probably right to say, like, look, you are witch hunting me. Like, you have no smoking gun. You have no real proof.
And the CEO of CNN said in our internal meeting, he said, good job everybody covering the climate accords, but we're done with it, let's get back to Russia.
Also, I'd like to point out how none of the liberal-leaning media such as MSNBC, ABC, CNN, none of these outlets have talked about the DNC class action lawsuit that they're currently facing. Something that's backed up with facts. That we had the WikiLeaks leak the emails, which proved that the DNC did in fact collude with the Hillary Clinton campaign, and that was their pre-picked candidate for the Democratic race. So this was backed up with actual proof and evidence, yet they do not want to talk about that. None of these mainstream news networks seem to want to talk about something that there's actually evidence to. So it's just an ongoing battle of who works for who. What are you trying to do? What is your motive? What is your platform? Is your platform to inform the people, or to continue to produce cover-ups for corporate candidates and so on? So it's an ongoing thing. So to add on to the turbulence within the CNN with this, this past Monday, 3 journalists resigned. Now this comes after they were forced this past week after posting an article. They had to retract this article. It was linking an ally of Trump's, you may have heard of, Anthony Scaramucci, into a Russian investment fund that was under congressional investigation. Now this article, like many other Russian-related articles, guess what? Was only backed up by one source, and that source was completely anonymous. So you'd think in times like these, with such a high-level investigation with no facts, no major evidence, you'd think maybe if you're going to write a big major article like this, you should at least make sure it's backed up by more than one anonymous fucking source, because that makes so much sense, right? It doesn't make sense. It makes sense if you want to control and keep the masses to follow a certain agenda. Yes, that does work. But if your goal is to inform people of actual news, like last month, the U.S. killed more, the U.S. forces killed more civilians over in Iraq than any terrorist has within the last few months. That's not on the news. They're not talking about that. They're not talking about how much money Boeing gets for military contracting. They don't talk about any of these other Why are we bombing 7 countries? There's a good question. Why are we currently bombing 7 countries? No one has the balls to ask that. Why? Why not? So, in times like this, when terms like fake news or, alternative facts have become hot terms, something used often, we hear it all the time, it's an ongoing issue. What is fake news? Well, one could only imagine that, posting and publishing articles, you would do your proper research and not rely on just a single source before putting that out for millions of people to read and think is the truth. So, it's just like, remember back when Washington Post during the, I want to say this was still the primaries, maybe it wasn't the primaries, but it was, the Washington Post claimed that Russians hacked a Vermont electrical grid. And guess what? Then they followed up by saying, oh, nope, that story was actually false. So let's go take a look at those two articles back to back. The one where they first released it, and then the other one saying, oh, this was fake news. So let's go check it out. So here we have the Washington Post article clearly saying Russian operation hacked a Vermont utility showing risk to U.S. electrical grid security, officials say. While the Russians did not actively use the code to disrupt operation, according to officials who spoke on conditions to discuss the security matter, the discovery underscores the vulnerabilities of the nation's electrical grid and raises fears in the U.S. government that the Russian government hackers have been actively trying to perpetrate the electric grid to carry out potential attacks. Now, it clearly reads, a code associated with the Russian hacking operation dubbed Grizzly Step by Obama administration has been detected within the system of Vermont utility, according to the U.S. officials. You know, someone had honestly told us that Russians hacked the U.S. electrical grid. We're gonna run it. Run it. Throw it on there. It's the truth. Trump, Russia, it's in the pudding. They tried to hack the electrical grid. Didn't you know? I mean, you know, Wait, Russian government hackers do not appear to have targeted the Vermont utility, say people close to the investigation? As federal officials investigate suspicious internet activity found last week on a Vermont utility computer, they are finding evidence that the incident is not linked to any Russian government effort to target or hack the utility, according to experts and officials close to the investigation. Continuing on, an employee of the Burlington Electric Department was checking his Yahoo email account Friday and triggered an alert indicating that his computer had connected to a suspicious IP address associated by authorities with the Russian hacking operation that infiltrated the Democratic Party. Officials told the company that traffic with this particular address is found elsewhere in the country and is not unique to Burlington Electric, suggesting the company wasn't being targeted by Russians. Indeed, officials say it was possible traffic in the beginning. So, the same journalists, the same writers, the same news agencies that are laughing at Donald Trump for posting, sharing Breitbart news articles that aren't fully backed up with information are at the same time doing the same shit on their end. These journalists, they claim to be tackling fake news, yet they are the same outlets, the Washington Post, CNN, pushed the war on terror without question. So again, why are we bombing 7 different countries in one war? They don't question that. They don't ask that question, but they're supposed to be real journalists. They're supposed to be digging. They're supposed to be getting their hands dirty, trying to find the truth for you. So, it's time for us, the people, to take the media back. It's time for independent media. It's time for activists like you and me to get involved and take back control of our media outlets. It's time for you to start making YouTube videos, letting your voice be heard, let them know what you want to know, what you want to hear, and tell them the truth. Let it be known. Do your research. Do your digging. It's time to take back the media against the big collapsing news industries. It's time for burning media and me and you to take over. Step up. Thank you for watching and have a great day.